Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Why did you feel like you had nothing to talk about?
I feel like a lot of interviews are campaign driven. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's when you pop out for no reason without a campaign, sometimes you just start shooting the shit. And when you do a bunch of interviews like that, you realize, why? Why am I doing this right now?
Yeah. Do you think that's? I think that's the fault of the interviewer, that people don't want to have, like, people are so nervous to ask what they want to ask that they don't just listen and have a conversation.
True. Or I could be not carrying it. It's possible either way. But
Yeah.
I think when you have a set amount of questions, like your album, tour, what you've been up to, it leads to a campaign. And when you don't have a campaign per se, yeah, depending on the interviewer, the situation, it could just feel like a little bit thirsty, or like I'm trying to stay in the eye of somebody through this. You know what I mean? A publicist could set it up or something like that. You know, you need to stay active, bro. You need to have something to post type shit.
Yeah. I didn't know if you felt that way because I didn't know if you felt that way about music too. Like, you just didn't, like, I didn't know if in life you felt like you had said everything you needed to say, or like.
No, I don't. No one runs out of shit to say. How much you want to share becomes an issue at a certain point, I would say. But the majority of people I know, whether they're putting out music or not, are doing it to some capacity. I don't know anyone who just said that's something I did in the past. Yet.
Yeah. I was, talking about Blue. He was telling me the story about his label, the Warner Brothers, like, just not letting him into the building. And then he was telling me his whole story. I just don't know how he's kept consistency. Like, that's someone who, if you don't really love it and that shit happened to you, I could see you just being like, that's in my past.
Well, we just made an album right now, you know? And it's like, I learned a lot working with him this time. I've known Blue through interactions, you know what I'm saying? Coming to the studio to do something or seeing him somewhere, stuff like that. But I had never had the guy over on my couch for months on end, really learning about like the whole intricacies of what he does. And he's a special artist. Let me say that much. Because I produce a lot of people and they go in that booth, and I love to produce, not just the beat, but I really love to like see a record through. I got different compressors, different mics. We could try stuff. We could come out of the booth and kick it in here if that feels confined. Getting a sound is something I was always into and lately have become obsessed with, you know, to the point where it's becoming a fault a little bit. And I recognize that, but insanity is such. It's how it goes, you know? And so when he would go in there and I would watch him rap and record it, immediately I'm always not trying to pick apart, but I'm like, let me do my job and pay attention, because there might be something he said to me on the couch, the way he did it, where he's not doing it like that in there, right? Or there's a breath right there, or little things where you're like, I want to catch this. And I promise you, through an album we made 16 songs, I think we're going to put 13 on there. All 16, the only thing I said through all of it was, like, he might have got 70% of the take done and been like, oh, shit. And the one thing I kept saying is, you're keeping that and we're punching from there. That's it. Like, really, like, he has a clear understanding of what he's doing, and the translation from the writing to the mic doesn't waver. And that's really hard for a lot of artists to do, is write it in your mind one way and then get on the booth and make it come out the exact same way. And it was like, and, you know, we were talking about, it's called Los Angeles, so he's quadrupling down. Every song's about LA. This is not something that I was excited about. I was like, because in theory, I didn't want a niche album from Blue. I wanted to make a record, a standalone record, not one that's like, oh, you hear that one where he talks about this thing the whole time, or something like, or did you hear the one where they only sampled the Beatles? Or I didn't want it to be niche. I wanted it to be like just a translated record that comes across to everybody the way we intended. And so the idea, like, I'm going to make every song about Los Angeles was, to me, I felt upset about it for a second. And then when he started rapping it, I was like, wow, you could really do 13 songs about the same thing and be dope enough to keep my interest and paint different pictures with that. And so, like, that's a skill set I wasn't even aware of, like, right? Because to me, people who are overly conceptual sometimes lack imagination. Like, they can't just write about nothing. It always, like, what's the topic?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they can go. But if it's like, nah, I don't want nothing, just blank piece of paper, creative exercise, write for 2 minutes without stopping. You know what I mean? And so those are the most creative type people to me, the people who can, like, Rock Marcy type, or somebody where it's like thought, swipe. There's no, like, sometimes there's no grander concept that a lot of moments happening. You know what I mean? And then so when he's doing this, in my mind, I'm like, fuck, I'm getting, and then, nah, this shit is fire. And
Did you voice your opinions to him?
I kept saying it. Yeah, he heard me.
I
I swear. After that, he started making more songs about LA, and I was like, I don't even play it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear no more raps about LA. But he's good enough that he could make 2 more albums about LA. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, there's shiny shit out there, and there's things we get. We fall victim fairy dust and illusions of industry and popularity and promotion and things that can literally sway how we hear shit. But if you remove all that and just put Blue next to whoever, I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's like what we were talking about before, about all right. So you said you are all about the production of it.
Yeah, and Dilated Peoples, I stayed to the very end of every session. I go to mastering. I'm the guy who's really into that. You know what I'm saying?
I told you I like spur of the moment. I don't watch my shit. I think I get the write it swipe. It's like you don't have to think about what you're creating. You just create. You're about the create, and then what can you do about it afterwards?
No, you're creative because you're in here and we got 2 mics and you're doing it. So you're into the process of doing it. It may be once it's out to the world, you don't want to see it anymore. I can relate to that because a lot of this shit is our baby and we're immersed in it and we full detail. And then once it's out, it's not ours anymore. It's theirs. You know what I'm saying? So it's.
But look at my setup. It's the cheapest, not the cheap. It's the easiest. How can I get from point A to point B the fastest of setting up? You know what I mean? You've done hella podcasts, I bet, with lights and studios and cameras.
Yeah.
And that's just, I don't have that much, I can't think about it that much.
Or maybe there'll be a time where you'll move on to that.
Were you always this way?
Yeah. I had a real interest. I didn't come up under, a lot of people start with influence from a rapper. I got lucky and I moved to Venice. My parents were together when I was young and we lived in Santa Monica. In a good neighborhood, like a good one. Mm-hmm. They rented a little house and everything was dope like that. Then they split and my mom and I moved to Venice. And that was like just a different thing, especially when you're 9 or some shit and it's 8. It really shapes you. You know what I mean? Because as a kid, you adapt quick to your environment. You know, and anything in life when you're a kid, super adapt. And so I got lucky and I lived in a house, and there was one house in between us, an old lady, and the next house over. Every night when I'd be trying to sleep, I hear, Or I just hear the kick drum or the 808 coming through the wall, because you can't hear the high end part of the music when it's coming through a wall. You just hear, not even the snare, just the kick. You know what I'm saying? But then it would stop. And then I'd be like, okay, and I go to try to go, so I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on 2 houses down. At this point, I didn't know what rap was or how it was made or what. I liked it, but I was just a pure fan. You know what I mean? And and then the guy who lived there, he had dreads and he had pits and he would walk his dogs. He always had a good looking lady You know what I mean? Like he was. It looked like something like this looks like you're 13. This looks like a place to be. You know what I mean? And so
This guy's the man.
something's happening over there. So I would walk my dog, and then one day he was in the driveway, and I was like, introduce myself. He said, "I'm Quincy," and I said, "Cool, nice to meet you." And he's being young, I didn't have any like. I didn't think twice about shit, so I was just like, what are you doing back there? You know what I'm saying? I just asked him like right off the rip, like, what's going on back there?
How old are you?
13, 12, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
14, maybe, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, come back and check it out. So I walked back into a garage, similar like we're in right now, pretty much the exact same size because Venice, lots are pretty much, you know what I mean? And so something like this was all, there was no windows, it was all closed in. And on the wall, it had a thing that said QD3 Sound Lab. And it was done by a graffiti artist named Risk, who was the best to me.
You had known him?
I was a graffiti artist. So I was like, I walked in and he's got a banner of his name painted by the best graffiti artist. So already I'm like, oh, this is the spot. You know what I mean? Already before I even heard the music. And then he was like, I'm a producer. And I was like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? And he's showing me beats and stuff. And right then he was scoring the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it turned out he's Quincy Jones' son. You know what I'm saying? QD3. And so who produced To Live and Die in L.A. and, the guy and the motherfucker, and I'm like, this is my hero now. It's like it went from Daryl Strawberry or Eric Dressen to now QD3. You know what I'm saying? I went to, this is the motherfucker. And so I watched him produce rappers every day. He would let me smoke weed back there. I could drink 40s.
Who was he recording?
Motherfucking Justin Warfield, Everlast, Cockney O'Dyer, a group called Poet Society, all these dope things. And that was the introduction. But then, not long after, it started being Ice Cube. And it started being, you start seeing motherfuckers in my driveway who are like, and I'm looking out the window and it's just like, yo, this is wild. So everyone's got their story of like seeing hip hop from the project window.
Yeah.
I was seeing it from my bedroom from a producer, the Quincy Jones' son, who was bringing over the dopest people. Now this got known throughout my friends. So then Alchemist wants to come over, Will I Am. Everyone wants to come over because there's a chance we can go to QD3's house. So I was like the little like middleman to get to.
You were the
thing.
kid with the car.
Yeah. There was no studios, no Pro Tools, no nothing. Having a studio with a microphone was the wildest concept at that time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like it just wasn't something that was around. And so QD3 really, I'll always say it, has really sparked a lot for a lot of people and doesn't always get us credit for that. Because of him, it became possible. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah.
Do you? What's your relationship with a higher power? Do you believe in divine intervention? Do you?
What does divine intervention actually mean? What does that mean? What's your definition?
That moment in your life.
Yes, I believe things are placed in weird places. I do believe in that.
That moment in your life fully created you right now.
Yeah, and it wasn't by choice either because I was good at baseball. I was good at skating. I was good at athletic shit. I wasn't the guy in band. I wasn't none of that. And so, yeah, I started throwing, I had a good curveball. I was throwing it so much my arms started hurting. I'm trying to write in class like this. It was a drug. I throw the curve and nobody could hit it. I throw it straight.
So your hand was like...
Yeah, they rock my fastball, but the curve they can't hit. So I keep throwing it, but as a kid, your body's not developed. And that shit fucks you up. And so then I was leaning out of sports already. I had found graffiti. I had found weed. You know what I mean? I had acid, certain things. You know what I'm saying? Where I was like, okay. I remember my baseball coach came one day. I was doing a graffiti big wall. I was faded. And I just stopped playing. I was good, and I just stopped. I stopped going. I didn't make an announcement.
When he saw you?
I just stopped playing baseball. There wasn't like told the team no more. I just didn't go one day and never went back. And it was like, before like you only had a home phone. It's not like they could find out if I didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
And so I was spraying on a wall, a legal wall, but like on a city wall high. And my coach saw me and pulled up and just looked at me like, you fucking failure. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo,
Yeah.
you fucking, oh, this is what you became? Damn.
I think I would
So
look.
that was motivation for me to do good in other shit. Just seeing that day right there was really like pivotal because I was like, fuck you.
I would say divine intervention is when one of those moments happen to you and you actually follow it. Because I think a lot of those moments happen to everybody. A moment that could change their life for the better, but for whatever reason, they don't follow whatever that thread is.
The music was the most powerful thing out of all the things I did. I had this, skating or graffiti or whatever, just the hobbies as a kid. You know what I mean? And when I decided I want to do music, that was the most, like, this comes with a whole set of different things than the other ones do.
Do you have siblings?
I don't.
I'm an only child, too,
Let's go.
of divorce. A traumatic young divorce. It's funny. I think hella people get divorced now, so I feel like it's not as special. Like, if your parents are divorced, it's not as special. But it fucked me up back then.
It did. I mean, my parents were scrapping. So it was bad to the point where, like, my dad would be where you are, my mom would be where I was. My mom would be winning the fight. I'd run to my dad. He'd start winning the fight. I'd run to my mom. I was like,
yeah.
it was
my
like.
mom had me tell my dad they were getting divorced to like.
Nah, what I'm
to
trying
hurt him. You know
what I'm trying to say is, like, when my mom told me, I was like, thank God. You know what I'm saying? Because I had already seen it coming. You're smart when you're a kid. Smartest you'll ever be. You know what I mean? You know everything.
Yeah, but when you're an only child, it's hard to then deal with it because you don't have anyone else to bounce it off of.
I was good with it. I was tired of seeing that.
You have only child syndrome? You ever hear of that?
What is it?
I don't know. I was just told that I had it the other day, and I didn't.
I probably do.
Hard to deal with. I'm good at sharing, but it's a skill that I feel like I didn't learn being an only child.
I was always over generous with sharing. I gave away all my good records. Like, I love to share. I love it. I don't know how to.
So you don't have.
I definitely don't have that.
You like being an only child?
I think so. I don't know any different. You know what I'm saying?
Are both your parents still?
They're both up there. Yeah. I lost my mom when I was 24, and that fucked me up. My dad a couple years ago. So, yeah,
it was hard.
My mom was super hard because my mom was everything. It was like the safety net. You know what I'm saying? So of course I was on tour with Dilated. We were on tour with Kanye, and I left that, and then boom, and that probably turned me inward more than I realized. You know what I mean? And made me put up a shield, and probably made me more like protector of myself. You know, now that I look back on it, you don't realize that when you're doing it. You know what I mean, or whatever. And then my pops and I always had an off and on thing, so I was with him when he passed, and I was grateful for that, to be there for that. But it wasn't, and he passed, later in his life. So I had a different understanding of my dad passing than my mom. My mom was the one. It was like,
How did that affect? How does trauma affect your creative process?
Dilated Peoples was for me from probably really early in the 90s, being down with Rocka, but like coming out in the end of 99 and 2000, or whatever, with our first album. And from there till 2006-ish, and when my mom had passed, I had made a song for her. I had never done anything like that before, but it wrote itself. Literally, it was one of the few times in my life where I was like looking the other way, and it just was writing while I was doing whatever I was doing, because it was all truth. And I figured that out too. We can get to that. That writer's block, that shit is when you're lying. That's all it is. Because when you're telling the truth, it always just bloom, 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 bloom. Yeah. So I thought about putting it on a Dilated Peoples record, but we had made like anthemic records and more topics where we could both, two dudes from different sides of Los Angeles, different ages, walks of life, coming together to kind of make this platform. That was our first album, The Platform. And so it was like, we never had like overly conceptual shit. Rocka did on his solo songs where he would get political. Yeah. But for the most part, it was freestylish. So I tried to think about putting the song on there, and it didn't work. That was what informed me I needed to do solo records. So,
really?
you know what I'm saying? That was the reason I made, you know what I'm saying? It's the Weatherman record. Because I was like, this isn't going to work. I need to do something, you know? And so that affected my whole solo career. My whole solo career is based on like being a little more emo, a little more.
Is that what you mean by turning inward?
No, I meant like less, more shy. More shy. Just less, what's up? You know what I'm saying? More like looking at my surroundings and not being such
The universe had smacked you.
a little bit, yeah.
You want to talk about the writer's block thing? Because that's
No,
something
that's not,
I do.
it's not a whole thing, but I was just everyone talks about it all the time, and
Yeah.
I just dawned on me a while ago when I was writing and I didn't have shit, and I was just writing as like an exercise, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like I was like, all right, I'm gonna make myself a character now. Today, this rhyme, I'm gonna approach it from not Michael, but like evidence is a guy flying off a building, just rap, you know what I mean? And it was like wasn't really there that day, and so I kind of scrapped that idea, put on a different beat, and I had something to actually say, and the song wrote itself in a fucking minute again. And so I was like, oh, this writer's block shit.
Yeah.
It's when you're challenging yourself, because you might sometimes challenging yourself can be difficult, right? So you can't try to just lift a heavier weight. No, you got to work through it to get to it. So sometimes the process of getting to that can be tricky, and that could be writer's block. You don't realize you're actually forming a line that you think is not going to work, but in a month that line's going to come back. You know what I mean? And so there is that possibility. But for the most part, I just believe that if you truly believe what you're talking about, whether you're forming yourself as a character or you're talking about who you really are and what you're really going through, the rhymes just seem to come out a lot easier. And it's funny, like, oh, yeah, I wanted to say this, and look at that. It rhymed twice before I needed to even say it. Like things that I try to do, like, oh, I need to make this internal rhyme here. I didn't even think about it, and it internally rhymed. You know what I'm saying? So that's my point, is when you're open or you're really like speaking it, sometimes it's just water. And then other times it's more of like a reps, trying to figure it out.
Do you use what does your writer's block come from? That like, all right, I guess I'll just speak for myself. I get the like lying to yourself, because it is so easy to like lie to yourself so much that you don't even want to put out your creative process on paper. Like you don't want to know what your brain would create, and I think that's what a lot of writer's block comes from. Is you're almost like scared that what's gonna come out. Because you think there's some lie that you're telling yourself, some big lie that's not actually there.
Does that go to comedy like that?
100%. It's, all right, it's really hard to like find yourself funny when you're writing comedy. Like I like to go up on stage and work shit out. I guess that would be like freestyling in the booth.
Yeah. I mean, it's one way or another. Like some people are super organized.
Yeah.
And everything needs to be mapped out, and other people wing it.
What are you?
I'm somewhere in the middle. My whole career was writing, and then thumbs. You know what I'm saying? Then typing, and then
then thumbs.
And then I got introduced to a lot of over the last 15 years, I would say, or 10 years. I got introduced to the idea of writing on the mic. So it's not freestyling, but it's like if I think of two lines that are good and then I write it down, what's the difference of thinking of those two lines and then just saying it? If you have a mic in front of you and you're not on a clock for a studio, does it have to be on paper to be written? It's like, no, it doesn't, because you're not writing rhymes, you're thinking and then writing down what you're thinking. So the idea of going onto a mic and saying something and then looping that and then thinking of the next two things, probably from Jay-Z or whoever super popularized it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that idea, then it evolved. I watched some of the newer guys, right? Some things I had never experienced before. I'll keep names out, but I went to a studio session where there was popular rappers who are popular today, and I saw that process, and that shit was
like the punching in shit?
not the punching in. The unlearning of what they were doing really fucked me up because I sat in there for about 15, 20 minutes thinking, this idiocracy has literally hit us. The movie has landed, and we are here, and I'm watching it happen in real time.
What are they doing?
I'll explain it. You know what I'm saying? But I was fucked up to the point where I was sitting there like smoking my weed, looking at the floor, going, yo, what the fuck is this? And so what happened was is somebody went in the booth, and the beat was up, and they just went in there for like, they probably looped the beat twice. I would say if it was a 4-minute beat, it was 8 minutes running. And just stunk up the booth with like the most obscure little shit that I would be so embarrassed to do in front of somebody else. So the first part of me is going, God damn, this guy has the balls to do this in front of a crowded studio. You know what I mean? He's free right now. I was admiring that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I was just like,
But what is he doing?
we're going to get to it. You know what I'm saying? So then it comes out and then turns it up on the big speakers and everyone's going crazy. And I'm like, what is this? And then it happened at like 6 minutes or something. He said this one little slick shit. And he was like, that's it. And then they took the shit off and he started freestyling in that pattern of that one little dope pocket he caught. And doubled it, tripled it, quadrupled it to 4 bars. And it was starting out to sound fucking heat, man. And then he started having fun with it because now he had like a confidence build, and it was like, and the fifth or with the last part of the 8th bar was such a fire line, man. And I'm still to this day, I'm just like, wow. So it was really like R&B when singers would sing melodies with no words. Right, he doesn't know what the words are yet, but that's human nature. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's what they were doing, and I just didn't get it at first. And so that shit opened up my mind. Is like, be free. You know what I'm saying? Try things on the mic, and that was a huge lesson. I don't incorporate all that. I still like to write mostly, but the idea of doing that for a hook, or for like when your rhyme's getting too monotonous and starting to get, maybe there's a part you could remove and do something like that. And I'm not the best at it. I'm not saying I am, but I've definitely opened my eyes or my mind to the idea of that style getting incorporated a little bit.
Do you enjoy... all right, I've actually gotten torn apart for calling it fun rap. Because people are like, what do you mean fun rap? But I mean like...
Who's fun rap?
Because I would say trap, but that's not a good, like... I feel like they're... Like, do you listen to, like, Detroit shit, like, or do you listen to, like,
sometimes
melodic, like, it's mumble rap, like that shit, or are you, like, as a fan?
Yeah, sometimes I do, but that a lot of it's at being at Alchemist and like we're pulling up shit or stuff like that. I wouldn't say like I drop my kid off at school and then just pull up Detroit rap. In all fairness, I'm trying to make my shit in a window right now. You know what I'm saying? So there's not a lot of, I would say that just my daily life and environment doesn't find me.
You're not relating to that as well.
No, not relating. It just doesn't find me a time to even click that. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, unless somebody's showing me something or whatever. But you would be surprised. I probably know more than you think.
Of stuff? I assume you know a lot. I don't think you're... Trust me, I feel like you're probably a student of the game.
100%.
I feel like you're someone who really enjoys the, like...
I like what I like. I like what I like. Yeah.
What were you meaning before when we were talking about... Shout out Theravada. And I was saying that I wish people respected his rapping more.
Oh, and then his beats?
Yeah, and you were like, it's all part of music. Like, you said it was all part of rapping.
No, I was saying it ain't just the rapping. It ain't the raps are the raps, but then it's not just about rapping. It's about other shit too.
Like what?
Like, I think people take direction on how you lead them and how you... It might take a minute, but I think that people eventually kind of catch on to what you're on to if they're interested enough. And so for me, he's like an artist in the truest sense. He's like, he makes fire beats, he writes dope raps, he spits them fresh. I've seen him live. He's nice.
Yeah.
You know, he knows about clothes and shit. He knows he works wherever, you know, with things. And I don't know. He seems like a guy who's like
Does all his
art,
graphic.
art,
he does
art.
all his,
Yeah, art. You know what I'm saying? He's an art
Uh-huh.
guy, just a pure art guy. But I think if Theravada decided to say, I'm going to make a run for this right now, and just stopped showing everybody like the rest of the art side and just focused on repetitive rap after this is what I'm on type shit, then maybe even more people would say, oh, I see what he's on. Because it's like, I had the blurry photo analogy, and I keep doing it because it's like on Instagram, before it was fucking the one we know now, when it was the photo app.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We take...
When was that like brown? It looked like an old.
Yeah, it was
TV
whatever, but it was
upload.
it was a lot of photographers doing photographer shit. You know what I'm saying? And so and then you get known for like a style. So a lot of people had like, they shoot sunsets, or they shoot New York, they shoot buildings, or big like skylines, or things that were like grandiose, that in a little teeny square kind of popped out, right? Like not nano shit, but like postcard photography, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you'd color it cool and do weird shit, and people would like it. And then but like the music, and so you feed everybody this every day. You know, every day at sunset you get a sunset photo, or every other day, and you kind of like training your audience for what you do. And then you get popular for this and get known for it. And then one day you get challenged as a photographer, and you realize, I'm just pointing the fucking camera at the sun every day, and there's real photographers out here who are doing real photography, and damn, and you decide, you know what, I really like the way you're holding that mic. I'm going to focus on that and make a really interesting composition with light, and I'm going to post it. Or even better, I'm going to shoot it and move my camera fast and make it blurry. And then I post it, and everyone's like, dropped your phone, bro. Or you know what I'm saying? Or like, hacked, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And you're like, fuck.
They're not getting.
They don't get this. And so you want to rush right back to the sunset photo. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And I guess this is a girl shows her tits, right? And it gets all the likes. She's like, I should do that again. Compared to, you know what I mean? It's that same like boom, boom thing or whatever. But it's what they want, not what you want. Or maybe she wanted that, but now she's feeling the pressure to do it again. You know what I'm saying? And
It's the artist versus the business.
Right, but my point is what if you don't? And then you're like, you know what? Fuck you. And then the next, you do another one. Zoom past my squirrel, blurry neon. The next day, and someone's like, what happened? I do another one. Then they're like, unfollow. You know? And then I don't waver in it, though. And I fill up my whole timeline with a whole blurry thing. And some guy who never heard of me sees my page and goes, wow, I really like what this guy's doing with this blurry photography shit. And then I post a sunset photo a week later, and he's like, what the fuck is this? You were really onto something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what got me talking about this right now? Theravada. So if Theravada flooded his timeline with just me killing this, me at this sway in the morning, me here doing this, then maybe it would inform people, take me more serious as a rapper. Not that I'm doing anything different than I did, but maybe just the profile of it would tell people, because we're all victims right now to this shit.
But I think people think that following the business will ruin the creative.
Following the what? The business?
Following the business. Becoming a business ruins the artist, I think people think.
I don't know what that means.
Making money from the art ruins the art. Becoming a bit.
I used to.
You don't think of yourself as a business?
I do 100% now, and as a person my age, I better. Otherwise, I should do this shit for the love and go to Home Depot and get a fucking job, because who wants to work in a building and stay the fucking runner their whole career? You're supposed to work hard and move up. That's the whole purpose of staying. If I've been in this 30 years, and I don't know how to make money off this, and it's my job.
Yeah.
I'm tripping. I have a kid. I have a mortgage. What do you mean? Or do something else and do this for the love of it. But the reason I will never trip off that is because whoever's watching knows, and everyone knows, I get up and do this shit every single day, whether there's a check coming or not. I love doing this. And then the idea of that should lead to a way to monetize it. But my intent has never been, how am I going to, let's pick the beat that's going to do the thing. Or no, if anything, I'm sabotage guy. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to dig myself out of a hole all the time, out of the creative decisions. So the money should be a reflection of the hard work, like any fucking job. You know what I'm saying? And the people who work the hardest make the most money. It's not a fucking thing. Or have the catchy shit. But that's a lottery thing. You know what I'm saying?
But when you were young, all right, how old were you when you got your first big check? Like your first, like, oh shit.
I was young because I was young, and I had Raka was older than me in my group, and Babu too, and so I was the younger one of the group by a bunch of years. Now it doesn't matter, we're old, but at the time, being 17 and another one's 21 or some shit is like, your lives are different. But so I was fortunate enough to get a check super young, and so that was just like, oh, this is how it's gonna be.
And you had older people to kind of bring you through it.
In my group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like know how to deal with it.
No, they were learning too, but they were smarter than me because they were older.
But you see younger artists who might actively not chase money because they think it's going to affect their art.
Yeah, but they live at home, so it doesn't matter yet. Yeah, if you live at home or you have you're sharing an apartment with 6 people and you got to make $400 a month or something, then the weight of the world isn't on your shoulders yet as far as financial responsibilities. So sure, you can tour all year, you can do shit for free, you can go.
Is that still a real artist, or is that like
that has nothing to do with art? Art is separate. That's just like how much you want to either make this your career or not.
What do you mean by that?
Like make money from
the career, right?
No, the art comes first, and then you can decide whether I'm going to do this as a passion or I'm going to try to make this my profession. I mean, what the fuck is different with comedy? Anything.
I know, but okay, but I guess how I think about it is, bro, I don't know how I've gotten to where I am. Just whatever. I've just kind of followed this thing and I don't understand anything. So when I'm sitting down
so I'm going to explain to you, artists who tour, they make money that way.
Trust me.
They like being on stage and all that and going everywhere, but they make significant money touring. So you see an artist out all year doing his thing, but at the end of the year, that's fun and games, and he's lit. At the end of the year, he's got a big bag compared to what he had previous to going out. So it's a living. You're making money. The idea of doing something that is fun and making money, people can't get over that because a lot of people don't have that opportunity, or they do something that, whatever. It's not their first choice of how they want to make their income. There's no wrong or right way, but I think people trip out off the idea of like, this guy's doing this shit and making money,
And having.
That's art. It can't be money also. It's like, no, that's a living right there, but he's doing his art to make the living, or she's doing her art to make a living.
But, okay, do you think but you've seen artists who maybe are even in their 30s and never finally get the paycheck. But they were creating for years and years and years. I look at Griselda as a perfect example. They're in their late 30s when they finally got recognized on a larger scale.
We were just looking at Phil Collins. He had a whole fucking career before all that shit. You said Phil Collins. I said that was my first tour. He's 40 plus right there when he blew up. So there you go. In the Air Tonight. I can feel it. That's sung by a 40-year-old.
When you're it's so funny. When I was young, I would see people on TV and think they were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're in their 30s and 40s.
That was a weird thing. They used to have older kids play high school kids.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
they looked like you're like this dude's balding right now. Why is he a freshman?
That was like Hollywood, some crazy shit.
You said you talked about acid earlier. How old were you when you first did psychedelics?
Probably a little too young. At Venice Beach, you know, it was kind of normal. I know that sounds wild, but that was just skateboarders, graffiti cats. I think maybe even like some gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Like at the beach, that really wasn't that wild.
Yeah.
Probably at that time, it really wasn't probably as bad as it is now as far as, or maybe it's pure now. I don't fucking know anymore. But the you know, it probably really wasn't as crazy as it sounds in a fucked up way. Mm-hmm. Damn. But yeah, that was
nothing is as crazy as it sounds.
No, there are things that there are
when
things
you're
that,
experiencing.
Yeah, smoking crack. That's crazy, bro.
That's great. All right, but like I've had a fucking assault rifle pulled on me right in my face, and when I explain it, it's like, yeah, that's just a normal thing that happened. But if you told that to most people, they'd be like,
I had a gun
what
pulled
the
on me
fuck?
In Venice. Some dude pulled a gun, and I was so in disbelief. I didn't believe it was real. I didn't believe the gun was real.
But it feels normal almost. You're not even freaking out about it. You're just like, this is a thing that.
I mean, like when you're young, you just
Yeah.
things are what they are.
So psychedelics.
Yeah, so a little bit, you know, and when you think back, and probably was for 6 months or a year time when I was doing that a little bit, you think back, it sounds like such a longer time, but
Yeah.
it really wasn't. It was probably like a little window, and I was messing with that.
Do you still do? Do you still fuck? No.
I've microdosed on shrooms and stuff, but
You just smoke your weed?
smoke my weed. That's it.
You ever do DMT?
Never.
Never?
Never. I've seen people do it. That shit is nuts. I don't drink. I'm not good at it. You know what I'm saying? I just like, nah.
Do you like the I feel like you have a regular. You were talking about being a dad when we were on the phone yesterday. I feel
Yeah.
like. Do you like the regulated life?
No. Yes and no. First and foremost, I love everything about my son. You know what I'm saying? Everything. He's the greatest to me.
How old is your son?
8. So, with all the shit I don't like, his face just reminds you how much you love and do this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I'm an only child. I would say that I'm not the most selfless person. I share, but it doesn't mean that I still do put me first in a lot of things in life, you know?
Yeah, only child syndrome.
And so maybe that's it. But so the idea of putting somebody else before you is the most crazy concept in the whole earth, really, because it's something that you get tested on every day. And yeah, it's
Is it hard? Is it difficult?
it's very difficult, but it's is it great responsibility comes great reward, or is it the other way around?
With great, yeah. Wait. The Spider-Man shit.
Whatever it is.
With great
Responsibility comes great reward. Is it great reward?
With great-
responsibility comes great reward, I believe. Any which way to say is like
Stanley's turning in his grave.
you
right
just
now.
do that shit. You just do it because there's no choice. You know, his mom passed when he was right before 3. So this whole thing was not something that I was ready to enter by any means. No human was ready for what I was ready to enter. And so I think about it a lot, and I'm like, if she was here raising him, which it's just such a crazy concept, I would probably be on my grind, touring, being the paper guy, supporting, and probably be out. I'm not saying I would be a good dad. That's not possible. But I'd probably be on the move. You know what I mean? More so the idea but that's not happening either, right? And so it's like, this is reality. I have a kid in 2nd grade. What do? I don't have my mom, my dad. I don't have shit. So it's like I have her family who supports me tremendously. And without them, I'd be in a whole different thing. So
That's beautiful.
I do have it, and he gets to know his family, his mom's side of his family. You know, she's Mexican. He gets to learn the culture. Her sisters smell like her. The house smells like her. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like he gets to, all the senses, all the culture is still absorbed. You know what I mean? But bro, I take care of him from Sunday to motherfucking Friday night, and I get a Saturday off, and I pick his ass up on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? And so this shit is like is a whole new thing. But with it, I'm like, all right, I gotta be mom and dad strong. I gotta be sensitive enough to where he feels safe, like I felt when I would run to my mom when my dad was wilding.
Yeah.
But then I gotta be enforcing enough to where I don't just have a kid who doesn't have no manly shit. So like finding the balance of being a father and a mother is not natural. It's just not human. Because it's like, but boom, you start doing it. It's like I drop him at school. I get busy here, pick him up. He's getting smart and independent too. It's getting to the point now where the reward of actually being there is allowing me to come back here and work while he's in the crib. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like, it's all figuring itself out. It's not anything I wanted to be, and nobody would want or I would wish on anybody. But then, if you're that motherfucker, then you're gonna make it happen. So I feel like when you meet him, you could tell he's loved, and I know he's missing shit, but he's getting it in other ways. He's got Uncle Alchemist and Uncle Earl and Planet Asia and Blues coming over, and he's got all these superheroes coming through every day. Damo, Genesis, and it's like everyone loves him so much. It's like he's living such a. I FaceTimed him with West Side Gun yesterday. They were chopping it up. Yes, you know what I'm saying? It's like, the kid. He met Santana Fox, Prodigy's daughter. Now he learned to play Shook Ones on the piano. He's all Mobb Deeped out, right? And it's like yes. So he's different.
He likes the
he
rap.
was MF Doom for Halloween, where all these kids were like Ninja and fucking Fairy. He was like, he had a gold chain on and Timberlands and the mask. You know what I'm saying? So he's just a different kid.
He likes the music.
He loves the music.
Who's his favorite?
Fuck. His favorite rapper is Eminem.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like that's every young.
And so much that Uncle Alchemist is dope because he's Uncle Alchemist, but the fact that he's Eminem's DJ is mind-boggling.
That blows his mind.
That's what really like, Al, you're cool, your beats are tight. But man, the way you DJ for Eminem, oh my God. Like he tells kids
Were
at school.
you playing him Eminem?
No, I was not playing him. Eminem, he found that shit and went crazy. I've had to listen to every Eminem album now. My mind is blown. This shit's fucking amazing. You know what I'm saying?
You like it more? Do you like it more?
Yes,
or less?
and especially when hearing it through him, it's just like, wow.
Why does he? What attracts him to it?
I think the wordplay and the conviction of the way it's being said. You know what I'm saying? Like, like he gets like one of those faces. You know what I mean? Like
you don't even have to know what he's saying.
Yeah, but he likes Doom, and he likes West, Gun, and he likes Earl and slow rap
Does he
shit.
like you?
He does. He fucks with me.
That's cool. That's
no, I catch him playing my shit, so I'm good.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's probably a real proud dad moment,
it's
right
cool.
there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Listening to your shit.
Yes.
Did you ever play him kid music, or was it always real music?
No. He's been through everything. This I didn't push this on him. This is just like, and to be fair, his 13-year-old cousin makes beats, and that's his idol right now in life. So whatever his cousin likes, he likes it, which is the reason he learned about. See, he learned from his cousin that the people who were coming over here were cool.
Oh, he didn't even know.
Not really. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, and then they trip out. So now he's like, oh, yeah. I know Earl. Like, he showed me how to do a skateboard. You know what I'm saying? But like, he doesn't know that's until now it's starting to all make sense. You know what I mean? So it's like,
just like how you said, if you met him, you would know he's loved and all that.
Yes.
I feel like meeting you and talking to you, I know you're a great dad.
Okay.
And it's cool to hear you talk about that, because there are some people who just don't give a fuck. And it's sad. It's really
You know,
sad to
nah.
like someone's art and then not appreciate them and not be able to respect them as a person.
I don't, as a person, yes, but as a parent, I don't judge the way anybody raises their kids. That's their business with their kids. Because I don't want people judging me the way I raise mine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even because we don't understand the full picture, because we see things through like a lens on how we want to see it. But even the people you might not think are good parents are good parents. You know what I'm saying? Now, there are some, let's say that, you know, but
I guess I shouldn't have even equated it to parents. I just mean, I can tell you're a good dude. I don't know you that well. We haven't, you know what I mean? But I can. That's the energy I get.
Appreciate it.
And I like your music. So now when I go and listen to your stuff, I'm gonna like your stuff even more.
And that's also part of the rapping we were talking about. It's not just about the raps, because it's like we know a lot of people who could technically rap very well, but can't. They're not the magnet that other people who might not rap as good as them are the magnet. You know, and so it's like there's so many variables that come into this.
What makes someone special?
Don't know. There is no. That's the it factor that.
But you've been making music.
You can watch YouTube for everything, but you can't find out how to be that motherfucker. It's like.
Do you think anyone can get that or is it something that some people?
No, it's innately in you, I think. Or you can fool people, but then you're internally dealing with some shit.
Yeah. That's so. Were you when you were a kid? You said you didn't even think about music though.
No, I was a fan of music. I didn't think about how music was made or the idea of doing it.
But it was.
I love music. Since my parents were just, you know, they played. My mom played hippie shit mixed with good R&B soul music. My father played more like shit that they were doing cocaine to. So it was like,
was your dad a partier?
He was wilding, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, Foreigner, Michael Jackson off the wall, fucking shit like that. You know what I'm saying? With shit
I've never thought of Foreigner as a coke.
Oh man, go back and listen to that shit.
I'm gonna go back like you went back to Eminem and be like
Steve Winwood, shit like that. Like motherfuckers getting high. You know what I mean?
I've never done coke in my life.
Me neither. I've never done coke.
Really?
Oh, man. Alchemist neither.
I've been around a lot of it.
I haven't. I've never done it. I got so known for never doing it that people hid it from me.
Really?
Like, oh, let's go. You know, wait till I go away, type shit.
Did you ever take a break for smoking weed?
Yeah, I've done it. There's been like a few years. There was like 6 months, 4 months, 2 months. I'm once in a while I get tired of it, and then I come to a head, and then I get sober, and then I realize weed is amazing, and then I go back to weed.
And then you realize, there was other problems.
Because then you start drinking more, and you're hitting a fucking cigarette, and you're like, what am I doing, man? I was way better smoking fucking weed.
Do you go through beats for vinyls, or do you go online?
Both, but the main sources, the vinyl. It always sounds the best. You can listen to it differently. When you're scrolling on the internet for samples, you're like looking for something that's, because Wi-Fi is not good back here. So like if I try to rewind it 1 second, it's like buffered. Then it's like I get a headache with it. So if I'm online looking for something, it's like an obvious piece of music I'm jacking.
You do think vinyls sound better though?
Vinyl sounds better, and because it's going directly into my shit. And then, but the samples on the record, I'm moving the pitch, I'm scratching little elements. I might hear something, you know what I mean? Accidents might happen. It's just, it's much more natural to make shit like that for hip hop, because that's where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? It's like the vinyl is everything. Is the first sampler is the vinyl. 2 turntables, mixer, take it back, find a little piece, take it back and forth, take it back on the kick. Next time, I did that so many times. We catch the snare. Maybe you jump in a little early, maybe you're a little late. All of this like was what made your DJing taking the break back and forth. That was the genesis of this whole shit. So it's like that never goes. That's the blueprint. You can never fuck up doing that. And so making your shit off the vinyl is the truest way, the best way, undisputed.
So I don't make music, so don't take this as a fact.
Well, sampling, not making music, jacking shit.
Yeah.
You know, or bending, or being creative with it, or taking big pieces. Sampling is there's a wide array of what sampling is. It's not easy to pinpoint.
Is there writer's block for that?
Yes.
Making beats
Yeah,
and-
you can get in a rut a little bit, but it's different because music, writing and rapping is coming out of your body. You're spitting it out. Your human is making it, whereas this, I'm dealing with recording and computers. So a little easier not to get in much of a rut. What you can do is get repetitive. Make the same beat 6 times in a row with different samples by accident.
It's so fun. Do you go with whatever your first thought is? Or
It's
do you-
usually the best. So on this shit, Ninth Wonder was making beat here one time for one of our Dilated albums. He was in town. We were going to work with him, so he came here to make it. And he was on the drum machine, and he was spinning records, and he would find a little piece. I'm sure there's clips of him doing it too, but I saw it in person. And he was like, "Oh my God, hold on, oh yeah." Like he got so excited in the moment from that little piece and had to move on it immediately, otherwise it would go away. Those first instincts when you first hear something are usually the best ones. When something just lands funky or right there that's what you should capture.
Yeah, like what they say when you were taking a test and you didn't know the answer, go with what the first answer you thought it
Same
was.
shit,
was.
pretty much, yeah.
The
But
non-
then you can also go, that also leads to, I'm dope, so if I sampled it, it must be fresh. So you should have like some kind of filter to know when you're tripping too. But if you usually listen to your gut. The truth about beats is there is no good beat. It's a good beat almost doesn't need a rapper. It's like the best beats to me are the ones where it's a really good marriage between the beat isn't really that great without the rapper, and the rapper without the beat is just a cappella. So it's like the marriage is when it wins the most.
when I hear
And
the
so
beats,
all to say is the goal of doing this is really to make something that somebody wants to rap on. And so having, not just making it to just listen to on loop all day.
is that tough when you're the rapper? When you're making something,
It's tough
for
because I
you,
rhyme in a certain way, so my mind hears it a way. So when I make a beat, I kind of like have a rhyme in my mind or a cadence, and so I kind of make it to that. And then if somebody had a better or a different cadence that I wasn't thinking of,
Yeah.
That can be exciting because then it's like, oh, they're taking my beat to a place that I wasn't thinking about. Sometimes it can get a little bit formulaic.
What's the I don't want to say the proudest moment of your life because I feel like you'd say being a dad. But what's the proudest moment of your career? Not the biggest, but like the proudest.
And probably doing a solo record, because there's moments I've had like an actual instance where I was doing this or something happened or whatever. But as like a general overscope, we were all Dilated. I had the idea for the song for my mom already in my head, and then I was on tour with Little Brother, Dilated Little Brother. We were in Philly, right down the street from TLA, and at some record store doing an in-store signing thing before the show. And I was sitting next to rapper Big Pooh, and some kid walked up to him with an album that I had never saw and was called Sleepers. And the kid walked up to him and was like, "Yo, I love your shit with LB, but I just want to tell you, song such and such on this really I gravitated towards it." And then he signed it and gave it, and I could tell how much different all the other shit he was signing all day, how much more that one little thing was. And I envied that moment so much. I even told him that day, like, what? What is this? You have an album, a solo record? Because they're on Atlantic, you know what I mean? How do you even do this? You know what I mean? And like, he's like, yeah, boom. And so it was just like, I wanted to do that. Right there, I had the song from my mom. Boom, so that, and I think when I made that around that time, I remember I had mastered it, and I was rolling around with Alchemist in New York, and I played it for Prodigy, a couple of people, and everyone was giving me like, yo, you're onto something with this. You know what I mean? Like that round right there was really gratifying. And Dilated People's getting a record deal on Capitol. That was tremendous as well.
That's fine. Those are both like early in the.
Well, the
Early in
Weatherman
your-
was 2007, so you got to think. That's almost 10 years after I started Dilated, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So you just didn't realize you could do that?
No, I had
For
no
10 years?
No, I had no. I didn't want to.
I didn't even realize the timeline of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, nuts. It's crazy.
Until that kid wonder who that kid is.
I know.
He affected your life.
He did.
He
Divine
affected your
intervention.
life.
My divine moment.
Yeah, that's crazy. And thank you for having me over your place.
My man.
For real. I appreciate this. And I hope this wasn't too bad of an interview.
This was great.
And I don't even like I don't even want to ask the interviewer questions now. I feel like this was a perfect piece. I think this was great. Thank you very much.
My man.
I appreciate you.
Love y'all. Peace.
Peace out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey,